George, let's start by reflecting on Saturday. It's been a few days now. What I guess how do you reflect? How have you reviewed that fixture?
Yeah, it was an extremely tough fixture. I didn't anticipate anything like that scoreline. I thought we'd be competitive. I know we obviously rested a lot of players, and Northampton were obviously extremely good, and full credit to them. That's probably as relentless as I've ever seen a team be. They didn't let us off at all, but it's really painful. That's not a scoreline anybody wants to see, and I can't make any excuses around what happened. I was surprised in the difference in performance, and we've had good chats with individuals. It's a game I think we probably have to spend a lot of time in the off season having a good look at, and obviously we would hope a second string team would deliver a lot more than that. So we've got to have a good look at depth of squad and things like that. But yeah, it's a really tough day, and I think. It's not one we're going to forget quickly, but from that point of view, we've spoken, we've had individual reviews, and we've got to move on to this weekend.
And you've talked about the plan going into that game, and I know you'd probably say now you wouldn't change that plan given the result. Obviously, it's not the result that we wanted at all. However, there is a plan in place in hope that in 2 weeks' time, this week at home, when we go into those games, that the boys are fresh and ready to compete for trophies at the end of the season.
Yeah, look, in truth, our Premiership campaign got away from us, early on in the season, and we made a pragmatic decision to go after two cups rather than sort of try and climb a place or two in the Premiership. And the objective of this season was always to try and get to some finals, try and win some trophies, get some big days out, for the players, the supporters, everybody involved in the club. And I think that's something we set out. The Premiership was part of that originally, but once we realised, we had too much to do. We knew you can't keep rolling the same team out every week and expect to be competitive in competition. So, we felt we could put ourselves in a position in Europe in the Prem Cup, and everyone's excited about doing that. So, we want to be competitive in the Premiership. Ultimately, Gloucester's never won the Premiership. We want to be the group who do go on to win the Premiership here. There's no doubt about that. And next year the Premiership resets, and I think from our point of view, there's a lot of work to do in the off season. I think we've recruited well, and I think we'll be in a good position. But in the here and now, and a few months ago, we're not in a position to do that. And as I say, we want to create some memories here. We want to put some trophies, in the cabinet here. And I think that involves getting to finals and having big days out. And the players and everybody here is really excited about that approach.
And back to the Premiership then, Newcastle visiting this weekend, the final Premiership game of the season here at Kingsholm in front of the supporters. What are you expecting from them?
I think Newcastle, very gritty team. They give everybody a really tough day. We had a tough day up there, and obviously it's their last game of the season, and I expect Steve will have them fired up, and they'll be, as I say, really gritty and hard working, and all the things that they stand for. I think from our point of view, it's our last home game at Kingsholm. It's the last game for a number of players who are moving on, and and we've rested obviously a lot of players last week who will feature this week, and the boys understand it's the last game here. We want to give the supporters a great day on the last day. I'm very grateful to the supporters who came to Northampton last week. I understand the frustrations around it, but we appreciate their support, and I think from that point of view, anyone who's here this weekend, we want to make sure it's a good final day of the Premiership.
And in terms of the camp, obviously it's a difficult place to come into, and probably a bit of an unknown place to come into after you reflect off the weekend. But has it been a positive shift now? Is everyone really focused on that Newcastle fixture?
Yeah, I mean, by this point in the week, to be honest with you, all we're talking about is Newcastle. And I think, you've got to do your reflections and do your bits and pieces at the start of the week. And as I say, there'll be a big off-season review, and that game probably highlights a few things that, where we're working within certain constraints. We've got to be smart within what we do. And I think, that's given us a real highlight on a few things. But yeah, at this point in the week, we're massively focused on Newcastle for all the reasons that we've just talked about. And as I say, the boys really want to have a great last day in the Premiership here at Kingsholm.
And you mentioned earlier about players leaving. It's officially announced today that Jonny May will move on at the end of the season. A word on his career here. He's obviously had a stellar career in Cherry and White, and firmly cements himself as a club legend.
Yeah, Johnny's brilliant. I think, he's one of the best professionals I've seen in the game. His diligence around looking after himself and being a top professional is second to none. And I think that's why he's had such a good career and he's played so many games for England. And I think he's obviously done some unique things on this pitch. And in his early days, scoring ridiculous tries, and in his latter days, as I say, his nuts and bolts of the game are brilliant. And I think there's a lot of young players we have here who've learnt a huge amount off Jonny, and he's been a great bloke to have around. I've enjoyed coaching Jonny. I've enjoyed spending time with Jonny. He's a unique character, but he brings his own sort of energy, and I think he'll always be well remembered here by all the supporters, and I'm sure he'll be coming back to games, and you'll see him in the stands, enjoying Gloucester rugby for the future.
And hopefully a good send-off for him and a few other departing players this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. For someone like Jonny, his last game here at Kingsholm, it'd be emotional, and I think it'd be really special everyone to share that with him. And he loves the club, and the supporters love him, and he's sort of one of the first names that roll off people's tongue when they talk about English rugby, never mind Gloucester rugby. So, as you say, last game for him, it's really, really important that everybody gets round and we give him a good send-off.
Thanks, George. Good luck.
Cheers.